My practice is super intuitive. I'm such a perfectionist by nature that I feel like I've created a practice that is like actively fighting against those instincts. So when I paint especially, it's like I don't have a plan in mind. If anything, I just have like a general idea of if I want the composition to be like one central image or like more of a like smattering of a bunch of different images. And then sometimes I'll have an idea of a color palette, but like I really just like to let my hand move the way it wants to move and like start with just big gestural strokes that then I am like allowing the image to create itself rather than like I'm going in with like this is what it's going to be. To get in the mood to create or like to get in that mindset, I normally will just do some like sketchbook pages where I'm really just like allowing myself to like draw loosely. And if I'm really feeling like I have a tight grasp, I'll do collages because I feel like that's even looser where you're just like ripping papers and making a quick composition with random items that you have. I think a day spent at the studio painting is good whether or not I like what I've made, and I feel like most of the time I don't, which is, I think that's just part of it. So I think I have like a high tolerance for making bad work, which is why I can like just kind of sit down and start. In any painting process, it's like there's a lot of the time you're like it's not working and I can't figure it out. So it is like a level of problem solving, I think, but
yeah,
also just freedom to make something ugly. The main thing is that I can't be afraid to like mess up what I already have. Because sometimes I think when I like sit on a painting the most, it's because I like kind of like what's happening and I can't like it's not finished, but like I can't quite figure out what it is that I want to do to change it, and then I get scared to like mess it up. But if something really isn't working, I'm like, fuck it, I'll just like
yeah,
you know, I'm not attached to any of it. But yeah, I think generally it's like if I'm suddenly more scared than I am like playful, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And I need to fix that. I really try to like have social media have like minimal impact in the way I work. I think when it comes to posting, like I cannot work if I'm filming myself. So I just decided that that's not what I'm gonna do. Like I'm only gonna post, like I can post like in progress videos, but I'm not gonna like film myself because there's just no way. But I try and be led by like my inner sense of like what I want to make. But at the same time, like I'm also trying to be like build a career out of my art. So it is helpful to see like what resonates on social media and what doesn't. But then I think that's also a little bit of a curse because, you know, if I like post a painting and I don't get the type of like feedback or validation that I want, then I start to think like, oh, maybe it's like not good. Or so I try and tread very lightly with it, but it is helpful to get feedback and see what resonates with people, because at the end of the day, like art that evokes some kind of emotional reaction is like what people gravitate towards.
Yeah.
You know, so like it's helpful to have that, but at the same time I'm like it's a delicate balance. I think I still am aware of like balancing femininity in my work, but now I see it more as like maturity, because I think there are a lot of very like mature and serious and successful artists that use vibrant colors or like use pink or use like playful imagery. So now I feel like I'm more concerned with creating work that feels like mature in its playfulness than just being like afraid of like being feminine, period. Because I think like there just are certain colors that I gravitate towards. There's certain imagery that I gravitate towards, and I think that like it's not worth trying to fight that. So it's more so like, how do I make something that feels playful and representative of like who I am as a person, how I want my work to be perceived. And I don't see femininity as like a negative thing now, but you know, I used to do a lot more, I guess it's a recent change that I do less like characters and creatures. Like I'm working more abstract, and I would be lying if it wasn't in part because I want my work to feel a little bit more mature, but also I think like I used to use those creatures as a way to like express myself when it was hard for me to do that. And I also felt like I would add them to compositions because I didn't feel like the abstract elements were enough on their own. And then I kind of reached a point where I'm like, okay, one, I feel like very comfortable expressing myself, and two, like I think that my compositions actually are enough without creatures. I think that they're like maybe even stronger if they're just abstract. So I think that came from like just from growth as an artist and like what kind of work I'm making.
For sure.
It's totally still in there. Like I think that the main quality that is in both my ceramics work and my painting work is a feeling of movement. And it's just different from how it used to be because I was like showing actual like bodies dancing, and now it's just like you get that from like the ambient feeling of it.
Right.
Yeah. I've always made art since I was a kid. Like it's always been something I've loved doing, but I feel like what's been so fantastic being able to have a space to work and like having it become more of my actual career where I'm like doing it all the time is that it is something that like I can more or less just pick up. Like I worked so hard to get to a point where I can just like bad day or a good day I can make stuff, and I'm not like I hate what I'm making, because I think like being younger and in like high school and college, and especially like as a little kid, it's like there's so much pressure, self-inflicted pressure to like make something amazing, and then it stops you from actually doing it. But when I set out to like build an art practice, I guess like, I don't know, 4 years ago now, one of like my first and like main goals was figuring out how to make work consistently and not get burnt out. And now I feel like I'm in this like awesome flow state where I can just like make all the time. And it's such like, it's the best. It's the best. It's what I love to do.